Hi, everyone, and welcome to yet another Retro Podcast, a show where we will cover a retro video game from beginning to end, discussing the plot, items, characters, and much more. I am your co-host, Alamaxia, and I would like to introduce you to yet another Retro Podcast's other co-hosts, and I'd like for each of them to give a little short introduction about themselves. We'll start with Trithan, our resident speedrunner and glitchmaster. Welcome in, Trithan.
Hello, Trithan here. I've been playing games since before I could walk. Video games have been pretty much a big, major part of my life, and I've played so many video games.
Awesome. And we also have here Recycle Bin Hero. He's our retro newbie who's going to give us his fresh perspectives without the rose-tinted glasses that the rest of us wear.
Hey everyone, Recycle Bin Hero here. I just played a lot of sports games as a kid, so I didn't really get into what we deem the classics until like the PlayStation 1 era. So just kind of excited to see some of these great games that apparently I missed out on as a kid.
Awesome. And then we have Hucklebee Slim. He's an old school gamer returning to their roots.
Hucklebee Slim here. I was here when the old magics were written, and I'm just looking to revisit them.
Wonderful. Well, here on yet another retro podcast, like I said, we are going to be covering a retro video game from beginning to end. And by retro video game, what we define that as is something that has been around for 20 years or more on really the major platforms. And if you think back 20 years, that's not going back to Nintendo, Super Nintendo only. We're already in the PlayStation 2 and Xbox era of things for retro, which is kind of harrowing. But we do plan to cover really a wide range of platforms and a wide range of genres, so we do have a lot to talk about, especially for this being our first actual, released episode. And today, we are going to be covering Super Mario RPG, a turn-based JRPG developed by Square Enix in partnership with Nintendo. It was released on the Super Nintendo in 1996, and it has been recently remade and released on the Nintendo Switch. However, in keeping with the retro spirit, we are going to be focusing on the Super Nintendo experience of the game. If we have time at the end of the episode, we may talk about some of the changes that were made in the Switch version, but to keep everything as spoiler-free as possible and to keep in that retro spirit, we are going to really focus on the Super Nintendo, but we will let you know before we start bringing up any Switch content, and that would be after everything's said and done. So Super Mario RPG here, I feel like, is really the perfect entry level for JRPG fans. It has wonderful humor, a fun story, unforgettable characters, and the combat isn't as complicated as maybe like a Final Fantasy game would be. Before we dive in, I want to get everyone's initial thoughts out here, and we'll do it in the same order we did introductions. I'll start with Trithan.
I played this game originally on the SNES, back when it came out. I have fond memories of it. I played this it's probably one of my most played games on the SNES. So I'm really looking forward to diving back into it.
And Recycle Bin Hero, what you think on it?
So I played this game a little bit as a kid. I got to, I think, Rosetown. So I didn't I had a little bit of experience, but I very quickly got out of my element. So I, for the most part, had maybe like a third of the game, maybe a quarter of the game that I had played before. But even then, I was trying to recall memories from like 30 years ago, 25 years ago for a game that I didn't beat. So it was kind of all a fresh perspective for me.
And Ben Huckle.
Just recycling the name.
Recycling the recycle.
So I'm not the biggest fan of this game, and not because anything's wrong with it. I really appreciate that it was made because of the games that came after, like Mario and Luigi Super Mario, also I think it was Superstars was called Saga, and like Paper Mario. Like without this game, those never would have happened. So I still do appreciate this game.
For me, this game really has so many memories tied to it. This is a game that I've played alongside some family, like my cousins that I grew up with. This was one of the games we really played together. I had a friend that I would stay the night at his house, and we would rent this every time, and we would only ever get to the sunken ship. So I've been like through that first half of the game at least 10 times. And I think I actually still have Trithan's Super Nintendo cartridge sitting in my basement. But it does have this original save file. I've been a good friend. I have kept it safe, and I've kept the save file safe.
It's
However,
so warm and fuzzy.
so warm.
Assuming that
that-
battery's not dead, though.
No, it's not. I actually loaded it up about a few months ago, and it's still all working.
They just
They
don't,
don't
make them like they used to.
All right, with that, guys, let's get started. So the game starts out, and we just see the princess just being all happy, sitting out in the field, and Bowser comes by and does what Bowser does, and he takes the princess, takes her off back to his keep.
I do like the swoop in with the clown car. It's a nice like off-screen, like kind of gives you, I don't know, the big intro is like a good story startup, because it's like, what happens? Princess is stolen. Mario saw it. He's going to go to Bowser.
Yeah, this game wastes no time into like, hey, here's the plot, and then just go.
I think at this point, too, we'd also seen enough of what the plot consists of for a Mario game that, it's almost like watching yet another Spider-Man movie. How many times do we need to see that story? Like, just get us to the good stuff.
And that's the wonderful part is with this game, they basically cover that entire first part in about the first, handful of minutes as we go into Bowser's Keep and we enter our very first encounter, which extremely straightforward. In these battles, you're given options to attack with A or Y or X or B. And we'll learn what all of those do as we go on. But what's really stand out with this game, aside from the RPG aspect, is the isometric graphics of it. Everything is isometric. Everything is designed in a more 3D world space. And in my opinion, this is one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen made. And by that I mean for what the technology had available, for what the developers were able to do, how far they pushed it. I think this is by far one of the most advanced games that was ever been created.
And I think it's one of the only Mario games where you start out and go directly to Bowser's castle. You don't have to go through level after level after level. You just like run, I gotta get the princess. So like the beginning of the game as you go, you fight Bowser as your first like major fight.
Oh yeah, Mario knows where he's going.
Yeah, he's done the song and dance.
He bounces off of Bowser's head and he climbs up to the chandeliers to rescue Princess.
Mm-hmm.
But now the castle's shaken. We don't know what's going on, and this is really what sets up everything for this game. We've already glazed over, oh, Mario, Bowser, Princess. Oh, they're the everything about Mario. But enter big giant sword that falls from the sky and lands himself in Bowser's Keep. This is where the game really starts. Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful title screen, too. Like, that's such an iconic picture.
Yeah, you got the big giant sword there. We don't know who he is yet. We just know that he's hanging out up there. He's crashed into the castle. Mario saved the princess, but Mario got launched all the way back home. We don't know where Bowser went. We don't really know where Princess went.
10 out of 10 for that landing, though.
Oh, totally. Lands right into the pipe, onto his little clothes hook in the house.
Toad yells at him, you gotta go save the princess.
Yeah, and Toad teaches you about a lot of the basic combat mechanics as you come out of there. I would say the biggest combat mechanic that you really, I feel like, need to know how to use throughout the game are timed hits and timed attacks. Who wants to go over those real quick?
Well, can I just ask a question real quick? And maybe this is a very obvious question, but is this the first, like, legitimate game with timed hits, like, so prevalent through the game?
For Mario series, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't think of many other games that really had things like this. Really any JRPGs.
Well, because I feel like
the only one that
it's
comes
such...
to mind is Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like it's like such a staple now in gaming, and here it is like 30 years ago, just waiting for people to notice it.
Well, they explicitly cover it in the first part of it, but they don't really tell you how to time each attack. They basically say, right before your weapon lands, hit your A button again, and then you'll get an extra boost of power. And what you see is whenever you do that, you're going to get a lot of times an additional animation with the attack, indicating that, hey, you did it right. Or if an enemy attacks you, if you hit B, which is kind of the defend option in the combat, then your character will put their head between their arms and they'll block the attack and take a lot less damage.
Hold on. Or I feel like I was hitting A and getting that same thing.
Yeah, you can hit A.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I wasn't I'm sure I played this game horribly wrong, start to finish to begin with. So
I'm pretty sure any of the face buttons work for it.
Okay.
Because for the timed hits, you got a 1.5 times damage window, and then you have the 2 times damage, and then same for blocking. You can either block everything, or if you miss the window for that perfect block, you still get reduced damage for the block.
Count on the speedrunner to have the numbers. I'm just number go down, number go up. That's all I need.
Yep, and some attacks you cannot block, which is a lot of the elemental attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we got to fast forward here real quick. After Mario got launched all the way back to his house, he tried to go back to Bowser's Keep, but the giant sword knocked out the bridge and Mario got sent back. And now Toad says, hey, Mario, you need to go back to Mushroom Kingdom and let the Chancellor know what's going on. So Mario travels through Mushroom Way back to the castle, and on the way he encounters the Hammer Bros, where Mario gets his very first weapon after defeating them, the hammer. I love this weapon because it's the first time I've seen Mario really do anything aside from jump. Mm-hmm. He's done some punching here in the first couple battles, but now he has a hammer. Mario's got a big hammer.
And it makes such a satisfying bonk.
It does. And I feel like it's such a great callback to the Donkey Kong games,
Mm-hmm. Totally. But he gets back to Mushroom Kingdom. The Chancellor says, hey, you need to find the princess. As you're leaving the castle, we come across a new character, Mallow. Huckle, why don't you give us the lowdown on Mallow?
Mallow is 100% a tadpole. That when he cries, it rains for some reason, as all tadpoles do. He's basically got his coin stolen, and he's having a good cry. And Mario's like, hey, what's up? And so they kind of talk, and Mario agrees to help him out to return his coin.
Wait, but Mallow's not a cloud?
Mallow's chasing after the guy that stole the coin. He's kind of like some weird dinosaur purple-looking thing, kind of like a raptor. His name's Croco.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see him several times throughout the game here.
I legitimately thought Mallow was a
you were gonna
cloud.
say something there.
Yeah, I thought Mallow was a cloud. I had no idea he was a tadpole. I don't want to spoil anything about this plot right now, but totally thought he was a cloud. I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's a cloud. He's crying. It's raining. Got it. Beautiful.
100% a tadpole.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Well, you do chase after Croco, and you eventually catch up to him. And this is a fun little piece of the game where you don't actually get to just straight out go in and fight him. You have to chase him around a little bit and actually sneak up behind him. If you catch up to him and he's looking at you, he's gonna be like, haha, no, I'm too quick for you, and run off. But you have to catch him 3 times, and eventually you do actually get to fight him. And he's really a good tutorial battle. This is where Mario gets to use his fireball for the first time, because a lot of times the character is going to be leveled to the point where they can use that, and he's weak to the fire. But you get the coin back, and hey, we're going to go back to Mushroom Kingdom and get the pie. But there's another problem. Ben, what's going on here in Mushroom Kingdom?
I believe at this point the gang has showed up and taken over, and Mario is just like, hey man, I'm just here to help out. What's going on? And all these shy guys are jumping on his head. I love at this point too, like this is how they introduce the fact of how Mario verifies that who he is Mario by jumping.
Oh yeah, I'm the jump man.
Everyone's like,
protagonist.
Oh, you must be the guy because you can jump and none of us can. So this is where we're meeting what we think are like the main bad guys. We're kind of learning about some more of the bigger plot pieces about like these star pieces, and we're getting into kind of our first like big battle.
Yeah, I would say this is that first boss battle.
Yeah, I was gonna like we fought Bowser, we fought Krako, but they're not like boss battles. Like this is like your first legitimate battle where I feel like it could actually go wrong for you.
For sure. And this starts out with 4 Shy Guys on pogo sticks guarding the main boss, which is this big sword with eyeballs and like a little spring thing. And it took me a long time to realize that it's not necessarily just a pogo sword with a weird skull on top, but it's actually a dude on top of a pogo stick sword. Like it's...
Totally thought it was what you said the first time.
And so did I for the longest time. It took so long to see it.
So I will say it is easier to see some of these graphics on a CRT screen to where that's what they were made for. So if you saw it on that, it probably would have been easier. Even though it was a lower resolution, it is the way the pixels are presented in circles instead of squares.
Yeah.
That's the way things were meant to be played back in the day. So some of the graphics do look a little wonky.
That screen door did a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's been a lot of pictures about why we remember retro games looking better than they do now just because of that. But I did want to, you guys talk about graphics. So when I play these kind of games, I'm doing it on RetroArch, and I played about half of the game with a shader on because I was like, this game's graphics are going to be an eye strain for me. And I turned them off halfway through, and I never looked back. Like, this game holds up so well graphically. Sorry, I know that's kind of off topic, but I wanted to throw that out there.
No, you bring up a great point. The graphics in this game, everything about it it's perfect. I honestly cannot think of a better way that they could have gone about the graphics and how they presented this game.
Yeah.
The sprite work is just mwah. Perfect.
Mwah. Well, after we defeated Mac, we did get the first star, and we don't really know what these stars are going to do quite yet. We're just like, all right, we got this star. So Mallow says, hey, let's go talk to my grandfather. He's all the way down here beyond the Kiro sewers, which we have to go through, and it's sewers. You know, there's a little water part, a little channel you have to dive into, and you do have to drain the water to get all the way through the sewers, and you come across a boss called Belome, and he's hungry. He's a hungry boy. Very interesting looking, 4 eyes, yellow, and he just wants to eat your characters. Not too tough of a fight, especially because we have Mallow, and he's weak to lightning. Mallow's kind of like our little black mage. He's going to have a lot of lightning attacks to start things out, and he really packs a punch.
This level also introduced the Mimic Witches as a kid, made me know that this was a Final Fantasy game. In the sewers, just as a side note, there's a chest you can get, and it's an actual Mimic, and you have to beat it to get the little piece of treasure.
Yeah, the monster inside. That does happen a few times in the game. There are treasure chests throughout the game that you can jump and hit, kind of like the question blocks in a lot of the other Mario games. But these are placed around these treasure chests. Will have items in them like a mushroom, which can heal your health, and then you have the different type of syrups, which will regenerate what's called your flower points or your FP. And those are used to provide the power for your spells. It's like the mana of the game. But you can also get items out of them, and then the ones that do have the monsters inside of them are going to have especially powerful items in them, because you have to beat kind of a mini boss in order to unlock them. So we met Mallow's grandfather, Frogfucius. And
I love that name. I don't know why, but I love it. It's so great. I'm sorry.
It's so great. And we learn also there that Mallow is... I know this is going to shock you, Huckle. Mallow is not a tadpole.
Blasphemy.
He's adopted.
He's adopted. He was found by his grandfather and... by his adoptive grandfather, Frogfucius. And so Frogfucius tells us, you're not a tadpole. You need to go out and find your parents. I don't really know a whole lot about what these stars are about, but continue on to Rosetown. And from there, we continue on. There are a few fun things we can do right there in and around Frogfucius at his pond. There's a little side area that we can go in. It looks like what is that, the stanza? What are those bars called for music, Huckle?
Oh, I mean, I'm a musician, but I don't read music. So yeah, stanza.
So, I mean, there's these tadpoles that will swim back and forth on these lines, and you can actually make a little piece of music. It's like, I think it's 8 notes. And if there's 3 specific things that you can make with that will actually reward you, but you don't really know what those are yet. So you leave there and you continue on through Rose Way, and you get to Rosetown. And what happens at Rosetown, Trython?
We meet the worst kid in the game. I don't know about you guys. I hate that kid. I hate him. I don't know why.
I just love when you just say the worst kid and see.
Obviously, you walk into the town, you go like, oh, I'm going to go save. Where's the inn? So as soon as you walk into the inn, you're met with a nice little cutscene of a kid playing with some dolls. And then, you know,
got a little Mario, a princess, a Bowser doll.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you know, Mario shows him that he's Mario by jumping.
Jumping!
So the little kid then talks you into playing dolls with him.
As little kids do.
And then immediately sucker punches you.
As little kids do.
With?
Oh, what is it called? The Super Star something.
Well, yeah, it introduces
Gino.
Yeah.
It does.
Gino, the 4th doll of the group, of that little group that the kid had. He uses Gino and basically shoots Gino's little arms out. If you imagine a little action figure that you press a button and like shoots their arms off, pow! Except these actually like rocket off and just knock Mario in the head and knock him out. And while Mario's knocked out, this little Gino doll comes to life. There's a little cutscene where there's a star that comes out from the sky and goes over each of the dolls. It's like, which one do I like? Which one? Lands on Gino, and the star kind of inhabits the doll of Gino, brings it to life, becomes larger, and it just walks off. Just off into the night. Mario wakes up the next day, and this kid's like, Mom, I saw Gino. She's like, nah, you're crazy. So Mario goes out to find Gino because this kid's like, no, I saw him. He went into the forest. And we follow Gino into the forest and gotta kind of navigate around. There's a lot of lefts and rights you can take, kind of like a lost forest. But you follow all the right paths and you do eventually get to the area where you're going to fight the boss. And once you get into the boss, Mario just runs in there and he just starts swinging. He's ready to go. He does not want to wait. Malo says, hold on, chill. We can't just run in there yet. And we have this quick little kind of cutscene here, not cutscene, where we have Gino standing in front of this boss, Bowyer, and the boss is like, nah, I'm going to keep shooting these arrows. Now I'm going to paralyze everyone.
Yeah, it should be noted that this entire time while you're in that town, these arrows are flying down at the town, hitting toads.
And every time they hit a toad, that toad is paralyzed.
Yeah.
So Mario better hurry, because these toads are like, they're going to suffer dehydration, starvation. I mean, we don't want that to happen.
Mm-mm.
So, who wants to give us the quick strategy on this boss fight?
I think our speedrunner should.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Give
I'm
it to us,
sure
Trython.
all of my strats were just wildly inefficient.
So
Tell us what this boss fight's like.
the gimmick of this boss fight, if you guys couldn't tell, was he locks a button. So if you use too many A attacks, he'll lock the A button. If you use too many items, he'll lock the X button. Too many special attacks, and he'll lock that button. Which is just... It's awful unless you learn how it, like, works mechanically. And then it becomes, like, super easy and trivial. I kind of want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this boss, since you're, seeing him for the first time recycle.
Yeah, used A bunch until I couldn't use A, and then I used specials a bunch till I couldn't use specials, and then I went back to using A more.
Pretty much how we all played it back in the day.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I played it, and I really feel like this is the boss that teaches you how to use your full the full breadth of your characters, because they force you to use your specials, they force you to use your attacks. But it's also one where Mallow can heal a bit, but you also need to start delving into your items a little bit on this one. I feel like this is the first boss fight that kind of puts you a bit more to the test.
That's fair.
Exactly. No, that like it. Yeah, if so, the way to like actually like do this guy easy and make it pretty trivial is if you use defense. The game doesn't recognize that you either, you didn't attack and you didn't use a special. So if you didn't do anything, you probably used an item. So pretty much what you do is you have two characters defend, while Gino, who starts off at level 6 at this point, he's probably the most powerful person in your party right now. You let him just wail on the boss, and he'll constantly lock down the items. It's a fun strat.
Interesting. Well, after we defeat Bowyer, we do get the second star piece, and we do learn a little bit more about the story from Gino. We learn that Gino is kind of a star person that has come down, and we learn that the Star Road has been destroyed, and it's the 7 stars which were effectively broken apart by that giant sword crashed down in Bowser's castle. We need to recover these because the Star Road is what grants people wishes. And without the stars, wishes can't be granted, which is very much a talking point at several points in the game. But we have a very quick, kind of. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of the right word. People give us some information that says, "Hey, there's another star that crashed down in Moleville," and we rush over to Moleville, and we travel through some mines out there. I know I'm going to be glazing over a ton here because we need to catch up, but we go through these mines, and we eventually we have to fight Croco again because he stops in, he steals all of our items, chase him down. Once we get our items back, we continue on through the mines, and we come across a boss called Punchinello. And Punchinello, we need to talk about him super quick. Huckle, talk about Punchinello.
He threatens to blow up stuff, and after you beat him, Mallow calls his bluff, and then a giant bomb falls down and blows a hole open in the mine, knocks down a star, and turns you all into ash for a second.
Perfect cartoon comedy. Everyone just kind of gets that little covering of black on them, they shake it off, and we're all good. So we recover the star. Punchinello, he was a guy, like you said, he really wanted to blow up everything. He brings out a lot of bombs in the fight. Starts out with 4 small, then like 3 medium and 2 bigger ones. And after you really defeat all the rounds of them and you lower him enough, a huge one comes down, crushes him under it, and then that blows up and causes that destruction. We have a minecart ride that's actually a really fun mini game. There's a lot of little kind of side I feel like games throughout this throughout Mario RPG that you can practice and get better and better at. Like the minecart here is timed. You go through and you have to have your minecart brake to make these short turns and pick up coins and mushrooms along the way. But after all of that, you crash land down into one of the moles' house and you deliver their children back to them. So that's another reason you're going to the mines. You're going to rescue some kids. Mario's not just here for himself. He's also here to help out, the populace, help the little mushroom people.
I feel like they were an afterthought. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to save you."
Oh, that was so convenient. Oh, thank you. Whoa, oh man.
But then from the moles, we learned that, hey, the princess was sighted near Booster's Tower. Well, who the heck is Booster? We get to Booster's Tower here, and we come across a very familiar face. Recycle bin, let's talk here.
So
we got
this like blew my mind as a kid, because at this point, I kind of was like, okay, I get what's going on. I'm like, oh man, Bowser's here. Like, and it's not like we're fighting Bowser. We're actually having like dialogue with Bowser. Like, how often does that happen? So we get to I'm making assumptions at this point, like Bowser's going to be in our party. We get to play with Bowser, and I'm like so hyped just because I love Bowser, like his art, his character, all of it. So we see him at the bottom, and he's like angry and yelling and pretending to be the tough guy, and of course Mario and gang come up on him, and he's like trying to play it off like he's conning them into helping him while maintaining his toughness, but they all secretly see through the facade and just kind of let him tag along like that big kid that just desperately wants friends.
And that's really how he comes across the whole game. I love Bowser's character in this. Absolutely love it. And Bowser helps you break down the door to Booster's tower, which was locked. He just runs backwards and shoves the back of his shell through it, breaks in, and we're inside, and we have a whole bunch of Sniffits. Sniffits. They're like shy guys that have the big circle on their mouths they can shoot a bullet bill out of. And Booster's Tower, guys, I'm just going to lock it in. Some of the greatest music in any video game.
Oh, best.
I
So
love
iconic.
the Booster Tower music.
It gets stuck in your head for hours.
I don't explicitly remember the music to Booster's Tower, but at the same time, I don't remember any of the music being bad either. So I guess for me, that just meant all the music was like so good that none of it like was heads and tails above any other of the music in the game. If that makes any sense to you guys at all.
It totally does. The music in this game is absolutely phenomenal. The composer of this game did, beyond exceptional work, and it really shines through. One of the reasons why Booster's Tower really sticks out for me is it's gritty, and it has this kind of gritty saxophone in the background, and it's this different energy. It's unlike anything you've ever heard in any Mario game, and it's like the only time you hear anything like it in this game. But to me, I can sit here and I can play the music in my head and hear all of it, and it's all wonderful. As we climb through Booster's Tower, we just keep going up. This is the first time we're really kind of challenged on our platforming abilities, because you can fall and fall down levels, like levels of the tower, where you have to climb back up. After you reach the top of the tower, close to the top of the tower, there's a short puzzle you can solve that will get Bowser his first primary weapon, the Chain Chomp, which is literally just a chain chomp that he will swing around his head and chuck at the enemy, and the chomp will go nom 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 nom.
So great! It's so satisfying when you get the timed hit on that one.
Nom 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 nom. It's perfect. We get to the top, and we have this room where there's some 4 curtains, and Sniffits and Booster run into the room, and Booster's wanting to play with his dolls. He wants to kind of make believe his little wedding with the princess. So Mario hides behind the curtains, and Booster's like, "Wait a minute, this is where Mario's gonna come in to try to save everything. I need to find my Mario doll to act this out." So he sends the Sniffits on a search for the Mario doll behind the curtains. And it starts out just 1 Sniffit, then 2, then 3, and Mario you actually have to move Mario in between the curtains to not be found. Your goal here is obviously not to be found, and if you are able to accomplish that, you do get a special item. It's not the best item. I think it's the safety ring. It gives you some protection against different statuses, not a whole lot of protection. But after Mario's able to successfully avoid all the Sniffits, Booster's like, "Oh my god, there's a Mario doll!" He opens the curtain, and you are sitting right there in front of the curtain, and you are completely ignored because Booster's like, "Oh my god, there's a doll!" It's like above you. Booster is just like one of the most memorable characters to me. I don't know, guys. He's incredible.
His whole shtick in this, though, is he thought marriage to Peach just meant it was a party and they ate cake. And he didn't know the other implications of marriage.
I mean, that's how I did it. That's not right.
Wait, you don't get married just for the cake?
I mean, sure, but yeah, that was his whole thing. Like, he just thought, "Oh, I'm just stealing the princess so I can get a party."
I just love him because he's like chaos personified in this game. Like, it's Like, Bowser is like chaos too, I guess, but it's like evil. But Booster's just like a toddler in a grown-up's body. I just every scene he's in, I loved, and I was like laughing. Like, for a game this old to be getting that sort of reaction out of me, I loved it.
And he looks like Wario.
He does.
A little bit.
I also really enjoyed the curtain minigame. I don't know why. There's no reason to. It was just such a great change of pace.
It's these little mini games in this game that really help it stand out really, really far. So after we see Booster, he gets a Mario doll. We do go outside and we have to save the princess, and we do have to do a very quick boss fight with Knife Guy and Great Guy. One of them is a guy that, has knives he'll chuck at you, and the other guy is, they're kind of like clowns, kind of like jesters. One of them is rolling on a ball, like standing on the ball, rolling back and forth. Nothing too special to talk about with these. You fight one, then it'll eventually stand on top of each other like form, this is my final form. They like combine into their own singular entity, and you fight them, get them down. And the princess got taken off while you were doing that. She's gone off to Marrymore, the town Marrymore, and to marry Booster. So
is this the first time though that they've ever shown Peach kiss Mario?
What are you talking about?
We talked about this.
Bowser and Booster kiss Mario.
But it was like implied that she wanted to like actually kiss him, because every time she's like, her way of affection always in games was like, I'm gonna make you a cake, or I'm in another castle. But she was actually gonna go. Okay. Sorry, it was just a weird when I was.
But it's
playing
only
this,
if you get the mini game done fast enough.
Okay.
yeah. So there's once you catch up to Princess and Booster in the chapel, there's a little mini game where you got to recover all the princess's different little items for the wedding, and if you do it quick enough, then actually, depending on how quickly you recover the items, determines what kind of a little cutscene you get after it. Is Mario going to get kissed by Princess? Is Mario going to get kissed by Booster or Bowser, or Booster and Bowser? Or is Mario going to get kissed by Princess and Booster and Bowser kiss? There's so many options.
I only
it's
ever
all
got
wonderful.
the Peach kiss, so I didn't know there was other.
I feel like I got Booster and Bowser. What was
struggled.
what was like the qualifications for this?
Speed.
Trython, do you got the break points for it?
Nope, it's just speed. You just got to get
speed.
to the sniffets fast enough and get all the way up to Booster and grab his crown off his head, and it
Okay.
comes down to being fast.
Maybe that's what did it for me, because it took me forever to find the crown, because I just was equating it to Booster had a crown because he's like the king of the place.
Nah, he's just the king of his own tower. He's a toddler.
I'll tell you right now, I want to be Booster when I grow up.
Eat cake.
The man, he
cake.
lives the life.
Live fast, eat
chase
cake.
bugs.
After we catch up to Booster, we recover the items. The chefs of Marrymore come in and they deliver the cake.
Oh,
and
they're so stereotypical.
they're very stereotypical. This cake is the best cake. They add in all the this and this into the actual written dialogue of it to really emphasize the language or the dialect of these chefs, which I think is wonderful that they did that, because they really differentiated the characters across different nationalities even.
Mm-hmm.
They come in with this cake, and we're fighting the chefs at first, because they're like, "You're not going to harm this cake. This is for the wedding." But they're just protecting their art. And
Evil
then we
art.
learned that the cake protects itself. The cake is alive. It's not a lie. It's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And the strategy for this boss fight, Recycle Bin, why don't you give it to us? Because I remember you had talked about this one a little bit with us.
I was going to say, it's like the first boss in this game that like had a gimmick to it, right?
This is the first one I think that has a gimmick that you don't really see at first. Because we had Bowyer, And he had the gimmick of locking down, A,
Okay, yeah.
Y, and X.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the first one where you kind of have to. It's not like hitting you over the head what the strat is for the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really remember, honestly. Like, I feel like this was almost to the point where I got stuck for a while. But yeah, I don't remember the strat to this boss. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just drawing a blank.
With this boss, there are 5 candles that sit atop of his head. And those candles are all lit whenever it does fully come alive. When it comes alive, all those chests are like, we're out of here, this thing's alive, ah! But every time you attack the boss, a candle goes out. And whenever the boss gets to attack, a candle gets lit.
Okay, that's why I don't remember, because to me, I felt like I dumb lucked my way through this, because for the longest time, I still to this day don't really know how to beat this boss. Like, sometimes he would attack 2 or 3 times, it felt like, and other times he would only attack once, or not reignite a candle, and so then I could finally beat him. Like, what was the strat for this boss?
I think you had to hit him every turn, so he didn't get 5 candles.
Yeah, you'd need to at least hit him twice, because his top part attacks, and then his bottom part usually uses a spell. Rarely does the bottom part do the physical.
But yeah, you have to blow out all of those candles. So if you're able to attack, the 5 times in a row, and then, maybe 1 or 2 more because he relights, the top part's going to die incredibly quick. Once that's down, then you only have the bottom half of the cake to deal with, and that's a cakewalk compared to the top side.
Yeah, it's still a pretty tough fight casually, just because like Sandstorm adds fear to everybody, which reduces your damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty RNG heavy fight. Like, he can do a lot of damage real quick if you're not paying attention.
I recall thinking back, to all of my life, that this is the first boss that I came across. It's like, I need to save before I do this one. Like, this one actually really hurts, and you don't really have the survivability aside from Mallow being able to heal, and sucking down some mushrooms where you can. This thing puts out damage.
Mm-hmm.
But after you do beat it, then the party continues as Booster had wanted. Really, now what he wants is cake.
Mm-hmm.
And what better way than to get rid of a giant cake boss that is casting Sandstorm and, absolutely wrecking you, than, well, eating it in one big bite.
He truly was the hero.
He really was. Booster is the one that saved everyone there.
Booster is my idol. I want that man like on a t-shirt, because I want to just stand for him every chance I get.
We'll get you a boost me, bro.
Well, after you do defeat Booster, then you take the princess all the way back to Mushroom Kingdom, and you return her there. Jennifer's like, hey, welcome back, princess. By the way, you're staying here and you're not leaving. Go to your room. And Mario's like, all right, princess, adios. I'm gonna go continue, getting the rest of the stars. You leave the castle, and you aren't even like 10 steps out, and princess comes floating down with an umbrella. She's like, I'm the princess. They got things taken care of. I'm off to help you. So now you have your full 5-member party of Mario, Geno, Mallow, Princess, and Bowser.
Didn't she have a stand-in for her?
Did she?
Oh yeah, one of the toads.
Yeah, she had like a
disguises
stand-in.
himself.
Yeah.
If you go up to her room after that.
Yeah.
I had not done that. Oh my gosh, I need to see that.
Yeah,
How bad is it?
I mean, it's pretty obvious it's not her.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I mean,
the toads
Toad
aren't
versus
bright.
Toad.
Yeah.
So, what was... Now that we do have our full party, what is the main composition you guys ran for the rest of the game? Because I really feel like from this point, everybody is like, this is my party makeup.
I didn't because like most Final Fantasy RPGs, I just grinded out a lot of stuff, and I would grind them the way I do Pokemon, where it's like I'll go a fight and get everybody around the same level.
Well, with this one, everyone gained experience at the same rate.
Yeah, I didn't realize that for a while.
Which I loved that. Like, that was such a
man.
nice addition.
Yeah, so
It really was.
But I really didn't ever have a main party. I mean, my ending party was something, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I'll jump in here before the speedrunner tells me all the point breaks and how to effectively build my team. But for me, you know, for the longest time it was Mario, Bowser, Toadstool, because, you know, it's those three, right? But I felt like I wish this was a game where you could swap out Mario. I know you can't, or, you know, it just was not part of this game, but I felt like Bowser and Mario together in a party just were too similar. So I eventually swapped in Geno.
That's fair. I mean, Geno is a big damage output.
Not the way I used
really
him, which
is.
apparently was the wrong way to use him.
I would say, like, so
Geno
Bowser
World.
was like the easy mode, and Geno was the hard mode, unless you knew how to do Geno's special stuff.
Mallow's hard mode.
No, Mallow's a key.
Nah.
He's the black mage.
No way. Toadstool is
Mallow
Toadstool.
can actually have just as much attack as Mario and just as much magic power as Geno.
Toadstool is the most OP character in this game, and I will not hear any argument otherwise.
Oh, she
Not
is.
wrong.
I agree.
I mean, a 2 FP like heal and a 4 FP heal, and they group heal, and they both clear status effect. Oh,
Oh yeah, just necessary.
Allo, what
To-
you're saying though, the winning through superior force.
Well, my thing is damage mitigation through superior
Exactly.
firepower.
That's how I played this game.
Yeah, that's not. Unfortunately, that's not my strategy. I definitely was of the Mario Princess Bowser group.
really? Okay.
I run that straight out because Princess uses all the flower points to heal, and I just have Mario and Bowser just mailing the heck out of everything.
Yeah, I did that for a long time, and then I felt like I hit a brick wall, and so I swapped out Bowser, brought in Geno.
Yep. Back in the day, I used to be a Mario Bowser princess, but when I started learning the speed run and all that stuff, it ended up being like Mario Bowser Geno.
Mine was,
Wow.
There's so much damage with Geno boost, and
see, I did the
It gets
Mario Mallow Geno as my final composition.
See, I did Geno boost. Like that's how my party was. Mario was my damage dealer. Geno boost or Mario as many times as I could, and Peach or Toadstool just there to heal.
That's a
Do
good.
they?
That's a good makeup.
It's a good combo.
And I guess kind of a side comment real quick. Is it at this point, like, when do they start referring to Toadstool as Peach or Peach as Toadstool? Like, when does that switch happen in kind of the Mario video game universe?
I think they've always been Princess Toadstool or Peach. It's always been kind of interchangeable. Like
I don't think Peach actually really came to be much of a thing until this and 64.
See, I swear, like it was very clearly it was Princess Toadstool for the longest time, and then like one day they just switched to Peach and like would occasionally say Princess Toadstool is like a throwback.
I recall in the intro to Mario 64, and I know that's, getting later in the year that this game was released.
So crazy
But
to think.
in the intro, it's like, she signs off her letter, Princess Toadstool, Peach. And that's kind of, I feel like that's really the link. That's where the torch was passed from one persona to the other.
I'm gonna agree with you, but I have no foundation or evidence to back that up.
Well, after we complete Marrymore, we go off to Seaside Town, and over in Seaside Town, there's some pretty interesting things going on. All of the inhabitants there are acting pretty funny and pretty suspicious. I think they all kind of have this kind of grayish purple haze about them as well.
it
And
has
they're
the best shop in the game.
the best shop in the game. What's
Best shop.
What's best about that shop, Trithan?
So there's only this one shop in Seaside Town before you do any of the stuff. Like on your first visit in, there's a shop that sells fright bombs that add fear to everything, fire bombs that do fire damage to all enemies, and ice bombs that do ice damage to all enemies. They cost like anywhere from 100 to 250 coins.
That's a lot.
It is very expensive, but these items are like key for a lot of the speedrunning strats. You can make some bosses just like 3 turns if you use them just right.
Didn't have a single one of those items. Not even one. So
I
on the
bet you
topic
didn't
of
even walk into that shop.
probably not. On the topic of items and money, then, like there, you have a limited inventory and you're maxed out at like 999 coins in this game. You guys think that was a limitation of the hardware or a deliberate design choice?
Hardware. I really do. I think they focus. I think when it came to the items and such, it wasn't an afterthought, but they cut back on those. I personally feel like so they could focus more on the graphics and the music of the game.
It was probably a memory thing.
Do you guys think they totally just said we're squeezing so much out of this cartridge we can't give players a 4th page of items?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have, 999 of everything, or was it 99 of all the items and 999 coins?
It's 999 coins, but you could only carry, was it 40 items?
It was 3 pages, so whatever that is.
The 2 pages were.
Okay. I never
And it
maxed out
wasn't
the
much,
pages, so I don't.
And items didn't stack. So if you had 15 mushrooms, those took up 15 slots of the inventory.
Yeah, so it's probably a memory thing.
I ran into so many problems with that because I was just like, every time I picked up an item, I was having to like drop something, and I was so terrified of dropping some sort of like easy mode item that like I would deliberate for like 5 minutes.
This man had an inventory full of pure waters.
No, I did not. We'll get to those enemies later, but no.
Well, there was actually one stop we did make between Marymore and Seaside Town that we didn't talk about at all, and that is Star Hill. There's not really much that happens in Star Hill as combat-wise, but we do get a little bit of lore. There's some little stars that have smiley faces on them. If you talk to them, that you can hear the different, you can like see and hear the different wishes that some of the main characters have made. And there's a fun one where if you listen to Mallow's wish, he comes out and he's like, "Hey, that's private."
Yeah, so this was something that I absolutely love about RetroArch and GameAchievements.org. Like, they will go back and retroactively add game achievements to games like this. And I found myself, like, that was like the first achievement I think I popped in this game. And it was just so, like, it upped the gameplay for me so much, having that little aspect of it. So I don't want to get into the remake because I don't know anything about it, but I didn't realize how important to me, like, achievements were in my gameplay until, like, this point.
Gotta get that dopamine hit.
That's right. I'm a booster, man. I need my cake and my dopamine.
Well, Star Hill, there's no really major fights out there. We just kind of travel through, and we do eventually find the 4th star, retrieve that, and from there we do head to Seaside Town, where we talked about, the residents are acting strange. The Elder asks Mario to recover a star that fell into the sea, and we have to go out to the sunken ship to recover the star. This ship, for me, I have so many memories of this ship, because this is where I would always like end that night of binging with my friend. I would, stay with him for one night. We'd go rent this game, and we would get all the way up to the ship, get to the password, and get through it, and that was it.
End of the game, we beat it.
End of the game, I beat it. I just beat Jonathan Jones, a big shark. But in this ship, we go down and we learn that there's a password that we need to solve, and we also learned that the ship was sunken by a large sea creature. Wonder what's going on there. Whenever you go into the ship, I think it's when you go into the ship, or maybe it's a little later, you see a little tentacle pop through a pipe, and it's like, "Yeah, come here, Mario."
Oh, that's the room right before the
right before
the password. But I'm curious, Recycle, how many of the mini games did you do to get the password?
I think I did it all. honestly. Or I think I got to a point where there was maybe one or two left, and then I figured out what the word was.
Oh, okay, because I was curious if you did like the 3D maze or.
That 3D maze. Is
Oh God, the 3D maze. That's such a painful memory for me. I think I locked it away to protect my brain. I
unlock it. Tell us about that maze.
I just brute forced my way through. Like I knew where I needed to go, but it wasn't like because when you're in the 3D maze, you can't. There's certain parts of it where you can't see Mario. You're like under the stack of boxes, right? And it's not as simple as just like walking to the end of the screen as far as Mario can go and then making a right or left. There's like one turn you make in there where it's like a box before, but you have to like just kind of find it almost as you're, walking blindly through this maze. And
you just spam the D-pad and jump button until you get done.
What's the jump button do? Wait, what's the jump button do?
Tells everyone who Mario is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to like keep just wiggling the D-pad back and forth until I finally got through it. And because the camera, like a lot of times for these kind of puzzles, like in other games, the camera will move as you walk, like it's stuck like directly centered on you. But I feel like that part of the puzzle didn't move, or that part of the camera didn't move until you got like a little further into the maze. So I never could really tell when I had walked through. So what does the jump button do?
Jump button makes you jump.
I just had to know how much you struggled with that because that was casually like one of the hardest like little mini games to do. All the others weren't too bad, like chase the coin, make the thing, make the flying Koopa drop the ball or the cannonball onto the switch. Line up the jump pads so that the cannonball makes it all the way to the switch.
I don't want to get ahead of us, but I have far more painful memories when it comes to mini games in this game than this area. It wasn't fun, but the other ones are like seared in my brain.
So we go through all the different little puzzles, and like Trithan said, some of them we have to kind of follow a coin around the room, jump from spot to spot. And as we do these puzzles, we get a little bit of a clue as to what the password is. Like it might be a description of it, like it's maybe found at the bottom of a sea, or was like it has 4 consonants, or the R comes before the S or something. But after some deduction, we learned that the password is pearls. And we speak it into this little speaker, and this is where the tentacle comes out, and this is where the King Calamari fight comes into play. We have Mario and his crew. They have to go through a quick little series of small encounters with tentacles, and they eventually come up to the big King Calamari and have to fight him. Who wants to walk us through this fight?
I mean, to be fair, all of the fights, because I just grinded a lot, were face tanking everything. For me,
that honestly, I feel like is one of the nice things about. I feel like that's one of the nice things about this game is that, like I said earlier, it's a good intro to JRPGs in that you can face tank a lot of it. Mm-hmm. You can follow very basic strategy to get through these things.
You can always outlevel your problems.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember having any struggles with this boss. I feel like just got through it pretty easily. Maybe I stumbled upon the fact that like I made an assumption that since they were water based, like snow would do well against them.
Mm-hmm. Lightning.
Oh, was it lightning?
King Mallow.
Lightning counter water.
Okay. Maybe that was. I just remember like not really struggling with this aspect of the game. Although this is where I do have Bowser, my favorite weapon in the game. Bowser's like throw gloves or hurl gloves, whatever they're called. Like
yeah, shucks Mario.
Mario's face, like when he hits the enemy, it brings a smile to my face every time.
It's so wonderful.
Literal face tanking.
But I think this is actually the first part in the game where we come across 2 bosses, one right after another even. We fight King Calamari, which was, kind of guarding the captain's quarters, and now we have Jonathan Jones. He's a shark boy, he's the captain of the ship, And we fight him, and eventually he challenges Mario to a duel. It's like, you need to best me to get this star. We do eventually best him, and we get the star back from Jonathan Jones, which we don't kill Jonathan Jones, we just best him, and he kind of becomes a little bit of a pseudo friend. He's honorable in the fact that he lost, so he has to uphold the fact that he lost and what he promised with the loss, which was give Mario the star.
Well, he does follow pirate code.
He does.
Now, I am curious. Did everybody get the one-on-one with Johnny Jones and Mario?
I did.
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
Was there a special circumstance to do
Am I
that?
the only one that killed him just outright?
Probably.
Well, probably.
Yeah, because you can skip the one-on-one if you just focus him. Because the
Oh,
other
yeah.
guys,
Wreck him?
his other guys, to block their attacks isn't that bad. So you
Then
can
I
just face
definitely
tank him.
did the one-on-one if there's like a secret to not doing it.
Yeah, because if you kill all the guys, he's like, 3-on-1, that's not fair. So then he challenges Mario.
That makes sense.
But you can just, if you just kill him and you leave, you can, actually, I think you can leave like 2 of his dudes.
Mm-hmm. He's gonna have his
But
cheerleaders.
yeah, you can skip that whole 1v1.
You know what it was for me? Like I used Snow a couple times, and I think that took out like his minions, and then by the time it was the one-on-one, it only took an attack or 2 or maybe 3 from Mario, and he was done.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, Johnny Jones wasn't too bad, but we get the star from him, and we travel back to Seaside Town to deliver the star to the shicey little elder, who we learn is obviously not the elder, but he is a part of the Smithy gang known as Yardovich. Yardovich is he's another, like, these boss fights do progressively get harder and harder and harder. And this is one that I do remember being excessively hard due to the number of different elemental attacks he has that really attack the whole party.
Yeah, and if you're under-leveled here, 1 water blast and your entire party is gone.
Yes, this is an overall check for your party. It's a level check. Can you survive? It's a DPS check. Can you put out the damage to, take down the little clone of him that he spawns? And a healing check, because if you ain't healing, you're gonna die quick.
Now, I want to make you guys mad for a second. Mm-hmm. When he did the Mirage attack, how often did you guys hit the Mirage?
Very often.
Probably about 50% of the time.
Recycle? Same for you?
I don't like. I forget how it like. I did as soon as he did the Mirage, I did like an AOE attack, right? And
To kind of pinpoint which one took more damage?
Yeah, and then I figured, okay, whichever one is taking less damage is probably the real one, because surely they're not going to let the real one take more damage than the clone.
Are
So
you
I
guys
think-
ready to have your mind blown?
I think I attacked each one like a couple, or I think I attacked one of them, like what I thought was the real one, a couple times, like, okay, he's not dying. So then I did a couple attacks on the clone, was like, wait, he's not dying, and then went back to the real one.
So during that fight when he splits into Mirage, if you just select attack, the cursor automatically starts on the real Yardovich.
Of course.
You don't have to hunt
Really?
for the Mirage.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's that simple.
So your next playthrough, take that little nugget of information and it makes the fight so much easier.
No, out of spite, I'm not going to. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
And he's actually, I think, one of the earlier bosses that actually can get frightened and he'll take extra damage.
No.
So if you do buy up some fright bombs, he takes a good chunk of damage from them.
Interesting. That's something I never really did too much, was delve into the different status effects of the game, because we have, like, fright, sleep, poison. What are some of the others?
Like a mute or a silence.
The sleep comes in handy a lot. Poison will come in handy in just a few more boss fights, and I'll let you guys know when we get there. Because I want to hear your struggles before I drop the nuggets on you.
As I said, our resident speedrunner and glitch expert Trithan is out here with he's out here with the strategies that they've been here for a long time, but hearing them, even now, almost 30 years later, it's like, wow.
These men struggling to fight, and I'm just riding through on my Cadillac.
all the way through. All right, so we've left Seaside Town, and we're heading over to Land's End, because the Elder is like, hey, you got to go to Monster Town. There's a star out there, and to get to there, we have to go through Land's End. And this is a crazy place where we have to go through several different types of terrains to get there. You have to go through some mountainous areas, do some awesome little cannon jumps where the cannon goes forward, up, back, up, forward. You have to time it just right so Mario gets launched really far through the air and up onto these cliffs. And eventually you reach this kind of desert area that has a whole bunch of whirlpools around there. Who wants to give me the lowdown on what these whirlpools are all about?
You mean the sand ones?
They're pain and suffering. Yeah, the sand ones with the little bugs in it.
Okay,
after the rat tells you, oh, you gotta follow the bugs.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a story here. So when I'm playing games like this that I've not played before, I try really, really hard to not pull up guides or wikis or watch FAQs on YouTube. I try to go into it as blank of a slate as I can. Yeah. But I have a rule. So if I'm stuck on something for
how much time?
Yeah, if I'm stuck on something for 2 or 3 days, I'm like, all right, I need to move on because I'm a dad. We're moving homes. I got limited amount of time. This was the second time in this game where I pulled up a guide because I was like, I'm doing what it is telling me to do, and I am not getting, to the next part of the level. The other one was the forest when you had to follow Gino. I think I even put something in our Discord about it. I was like, guys, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm following the ant, and it goes faster and faster and faster. And then at some point, I follow him, and I end up at the beginning. And I kid you not, I put that message up, and then boom, next time I get through it flawlessly. I don't know if it's just the universe conspiring against me or if there's actually a mechanic to this that I was missing, and I just brute forced my way through it. But I have no insight to offer at this point. So please,
you're a secret genius.
Yeah, please tell me what I was doing wrong because I wasn't frustrated. I was just like, oh my God, I need to get through this.
So with that one, you have to you sneak up a little bit on the antlion. You don't go toward the front of it. Treat it kind of like Croco in the first battle with him. You sneak up behind him, and he does a little jump and goes right back down. In that moment, you go into that sand whirlpool, and that'll take you to the next area. And you just keep doing that. You keep following the antlion. But if the antlion switches pools, you gotta follow the antlion.
So there was a specific ant to follow of the two?
It wasn't a specific ant. It was one ant.
He would switch back and forth.
He would switch.
Yeah.
He could switch. So he had to be quick to enter his whirlpool before he would pop out of a different one.
Oh, okay. Because I think there was a few points where I was like, oh, you just got to get to the whirlpool. Just got to run there. And I probably was jumping in either too early or too late. Okay. Mystery solved. I feel better now.
But you go through a whole bunch of the whirlpools, and there is one spot you can pop out, and it's just this big sheer cliff. And you look at it, and it's like, this has got to be important. And I think there's a sign there that says, doesn't it say, beyond the cliff is Monster Town?
I believe so. I think you're right, yeah.
Because Mario's like, I gotta get there. So if you follow a couple more ant lions, you do end up in a new area called Balome's Temple. Now, if you remember, Balome was the weird guy or the weird kind of cat yellow thing that liked to eat down in Kiro sewers earlier in the game. Well, we're in his temple now, and I'm sure he's not too happy that we're interrupting maybe his sleep or hunger. And this temple it kind of reminds you of a pyramid. It's very yellow, kind of sandstone looking. Who wants to, Trython, why don't you talk about how we go through this?
So you enter there, and then you're going through, and then you meet this little mage guy who will, he tells you about hitting the lion's mouths in an order to get a certain scroll. and depending on that scroll is how you get to Bloom.
And it's like there's only 3 of them, so depending on what combination you hit them in, you get kind of a different outcome. So you won't always go to Bloom. Like you might get an item instead, or you might have kind of a fight that you have to go through.
So not to backpedal before the dungeon, but you guys did the thing where you're running with the star and killing all the ants before you enter the dungeon?
We haven't talked about any of the star things that you can do, which that is something interesting to bring up.
So like for me, it was a way to get like instant levels.
Oh yeah.
Because if you do it, first one you get for free, it's just a chest. You hit it and you run through all these ants and you can get like 3 extra levels, which is huge before you go into a dungeon. And then there's a pile of boxes that you can go behind there, and there's a little like the wizard guy, and you can pay him like 400 coins. And you can get another star, and you can get another like 2 levels out of that. So you can potentially go 5 to 6 levels before you even enter the dungeon.
Well, I think that was in right after Seaside Town when we're going toward the...
No, that's down in Bloom Temple.
Yeah, that's right before the Blown Temple. If you go through the antlions, yeah, or the the little whirlpools.
Yep. Because you have all of the lizards kind of around.
Lizards, not ants. They're lizards. They look like I just always thought them as ants because of the way they're like on their bellies. But
yeah. No. Nope. I just brain farted right there.
I mean, I said ants, not lizards. So.
So, to sidebar from Bloom's Temple, only because you brought up, being able to use the power stars in order to, basically gain a ton of levels, because whenever you run into one of those enemies with power star, you get the experience of that fight. So, there are other times in the game where you can get power stars and, go through and hit enemies. And one of the ones that really sticks out to me is the path that, like the undersea path that takes you to the ship.
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
Wasn't there like another?
There's a save point that you can hit, and shortly after that save point, there's a star, and kind of similar to that one, you can get a whole bunch of you hit a whole bunch of starfish, and you continue through, and you eventually hit enough, and it runs out. You get your levels. Now on the Super Nintendo version here, if you save before you grab that star, save that save point. Then you go grab the star, kill everything, and then let yourself die. Get a game over. You'll go back to that star, or you'll go back to that save point, but you will retain all of that experience, and that power star will be there again.
Y'all a bunch of cheaters, all of y'all.
Yeah, all the time.
There's at least 2 parts in the game where you can do that and really exploit and get a ton of levels really early.
So the funny thing about like using the invincibility star and all that, I didn't think it gave you the XP, because like the game doesn't tell you. So like I didn't go out of my way to ever grab the stars. But that section, the section we're talking about right now, like right before Bloom's Temple, I actually finally like got a level off of it. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like I probably missed like at least a level or 2 levels worth of EXP, because I was just like, oh, cool, I got a star. That just means I don't have to do these annoying fights on this screen, and I can just keep walking. Like, did not realize it was giving me EXP.
5 levels before you go into that. And also in the sewers had one as well.
See, I was thinking it was in the mine, but maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
There's several places, and I'm sure you were like, hey, there's a power star here. And depending on your determination, wherever you saved last after you die and after using the power star, you'll just go back to where you saved, but you'll still have everything with the experience.
Yeah, I just thought it was like a nice nod back to like, the original like Mario stuff. Kind of like that part in Booster's Castle where you change to like 8-bit Mario, I just thought it was kind of like a wink and a nod to the lore of yesteryear. So I was like, oh, cool, that's nice. Just keep going.
That was fun. Well, anyway, we are going to continue into Bloom's Temple here. We've hit those different little lion heads, and we continue down. Like I said, we can get like a mushroom, a syrup here and there. But eventually, we come across another mage and another little lion head. And you hit the tongue of this lion head, and it'll give you a few different possible responses. One of them is, what is it? He's not accepting visitors or something. And if you take the elevator down you'll find a treasure room, but it's blocked by a golden belome, and you can't quite get through it. So you keep doing this, like you leave the screen, you hit the tongue, and eventually it's like, oh, I'm hungry, I could use a snack. So you take the elevator down, and we get to Belome 2. Who wants to give me the Belome 2 rundown?
I think the Cheese Master should.
So, with this fight, I pretty much just super jumped him to death. He didn't really get much eating done. So, I want to know how Recycle dealt with this.
I'll be honest, probably like I did for all of my fights and just brute forced my way through it.
I'm right there with you.
I guess this is a good time to talk about like super jump mechanic, right? Like I was terrible at it. I just could not get it down. I could do talking about not looking up stuff earlier, like I got to like this point in the game or like maybe 3/4 of the way through and I was like, I got to get this super jump down because it's just not working. So like I looked up, the timing of it and things like that because the game, this is probably one of my biggest complaints about this game. The game doesn't really tell you a lot about like if you're early or late on timing or whatever, like it's just kind of like, oh, you messed up. Anyway, moving on. It's like, well, that doesn't help me get better, but
that's definitely something they improved on in the later like Paper Mario and the Superstar Saga, where you got a feedback of when you successfully did like a multiple attack.
Right. And so like I was looking up timing and stuff, and I found that the reason I could only get to jump 14 or 15 is because that was when like the amount of frames that were acceptable for the input changed. And I could never get past it. I just don't know if it was like an input delay or if it was me.
It's really hard.
I lack the skill.
Yeah, because it's depending on what controller you're using, what if you're using an emulator,
Yeah, I think
there's any
original
lag in
input.
that.
It takes practice.
The original on console you could do with a metronome. I don't think that works on emulation or if you're playing on like any other way.
That'd be interesting. Try it with metronome.
Well, yeah, because like if you've ever seen like speedrunners, they'll do it with a metronome, and they'll just boop 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 boop.
Never would have thought of that.
Yeah,
Because I thought,
but like I said, like you get the input lag, and it is after like the 14th or 15th, and you have to change your timing. So
well, and I thought like the window was getting shorter on like the front and the back end, and apparently it was only like the front end of it. So everyone was like, just always be like half a second or a quarter second later than you think you should be, and you'll be fine. And I just couldn't do it. Could not do it.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of practice to get past that 14. The other threshold is like in the 30s. Like if you can start hitting that pretty consistent, then you can go for like the 50s and 60s, and it's almost like every 30 after, to get up to that 100.
you're filling up that game memory, and it doesn't like it.
So is it a situation then where, because I've never got past 14 or 15, that every like 30th jump the frame window gets smaller, or is it like a thumb fatigue thing?
It's just
mental fatigue.
It's just you'll most likely just lose your timing because you got to just stay on it and stay in that, like I think it's like a 3 or 4 frame window. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, but other than like brute forcing this fight, that's I did the same thing. It was just kind of just attack him. He licks and copies your character, and then you just like, if you just beat him, then you can beat your copies because they're not that strong.
Yeah, and he'll do a whole lot more sleeping stuff against you, and he does have some more abilities that really do mess with you. But as long as you have Peach in the party and you use her heal everyone ability, you're going to be perfectly fine. Especially if I can't remember if Peach can have the safety badge yet. When do you get the safety badge? Because that is a very, in my opinion, key piece of equipment in this game.
I think you get the safety badge before Jonathan Jones.
I didn't get it, so I don't remember. I mean, I did as a kid, but at this playthrough, I didn't.
It's acquired by defeating Wuho. Isn't that right? He's a mimic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
it's the sunken ship.
Yeah, so in the sunken ship, there's a mimic you can fight where you get an item called the safety badge, which I think is one of the most powerful items in the game, because it prevents you from like being slept, from being mushroomed, from being scarecrowed, from being poisoned, like it's from being feared. It's like all these crazy. It's the ribbon of the game.
Yeah.
It prevents you from being affected by all these different abilities, and if you throw it on Princess, who can cleanse those abilities from everyone else, you're golden. You're golden.
The mushroom status is ridiculous.
It really is. You slowly regain some HP, but you can't do a thing.
Right.
But after we beat Balome 2, Balome Part 2, Electric Balomaboo, we get to Monstro Town. And Monstro Town it's interesting. There's a reason it's called Monstro Town, is because it's inhabited entirely by, the monsters.
By monstros.
They're the monstros. There's a thwomp in there. There's like the starfish in there. There's Goombas in there. In fact, one of the Goombas was the former leader of the Goombas for Bowser's little Koopa troop. And he's like, no, I found a home here and I have a family. And he had little baby Goombas hop up, and Bowser's like, all right, okay.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Enjoy your vacation.
But the star that you meet there in Monstro Town isn't the star you're looking for. It's kind of a dancing star on a dresser.
Yeah.
But someone there did see the star fall into the clouds nearby. And high up in the clouds, it's really hard to get to. You have to climb that big wall at Land's End. How are we going to climb that wall at Land's End, guys?
Paratroopers.
I actually got to this wall before you unlock the paratroopers, and I spent 10-15 minutes just jumping around, convinced there was a hidden box that I just needed to get to start scaling this wall.
Where's the elevator?
I was like, it'd be such a Square move to put this area that has some super OP weapon at the top of this cliff, and there's a hidden box somewhere, or I got to run off the screen to go find it. No luck.
You just had to run off the screen for a handful of screens and go find the people that would carry you up.
Yep. You got out squeenixed.
Yep, squeenixed by the squeenix. But we come across the Koopa Paratroopas, and they're a friendly bunch. They're all about timeliness. They are down to the hundredth of a second timeliness. It is uncanny. But they're all about getting you to the top of this hill so that you can reach Bean Valley.
Mm-hmm. That was because of the isometric, that was a difficult part if you want to do it fast.
Extremely, yes.
And I know there's a prize you can get for beating it. Was it under 17 seconds?
Under 12.
12, okay.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I never got it below 7. I thought 17. I was getting 17:29. I was like, oh, I'm doing good.
Fastest I ever got was 9.99 seconds.
Ooh.
Oh my!
Oh, jeez.
That's
a sub
my
10.
I think it took
Sub
me
10.
7 minutes.
Well, the
Real
thing
fast.
is, if you just ride the Koopas and you just the Paracoopas, you just ride it and then you can walk over on most of them. It just takes 25 seconds.
Right.
Oh yeah, no. The way to get up there fast, you have to just jump.
You have to make some risky jumps.
It was my Metroid wall jumping all over again.
Yep. But if you do get it in under the 12 seconds, you get the Troopa medal or the Troopa pin.
Uh-huh.
There's either medal or pin. I don't remember, but it increases all of your attacks by 50%.
That's pretty strong.
So you get an extra 50% damage.
Huge.
Which is
holy cow.
Yeah. And I do believe you also get 20 more speed. So it makes you super you're going to go first every round and you do an extra half of damage.
Throw that on Bowser and you got yourself, you're going to one-shot at least one mob.
Oh yeah.
each fight.
Aside from like the attack scarf or the super suit, Troopa pin is really nice.
Yeah.
Kind of
All
wish
right,
I'd done it then.
So we get to Bean Valley out here, and this is all just a land of pipes, and they kind of take you around a maze. There's not a whole lot about it. There's a whole lot of bees everywhere.
Bees.
The bees.
And they chase you down. It's the worst.
It really is. And you eventually come across it's a shy guy that's flying. What's the name for the flying shy guys? I can't remember.
Fly Guys.
Are they fly guys?
Of course, it's
Pretty
Fly
sure
Guys.
I'm pretty sure they're Fly Guys.
What a Nintendo
Shy
thing to
Aways.
do.
Shy Aways.
They're pretty fly for a shy guy. So we find this watering piranha plant, and it starts growing larger, and this ends up being a boss fight that we have to go through, and it's called Mega Smilax. Huckle, what's up with Mega Smilax?
So before that, you do the watering. So he's watering these piranha plants. You're smashing them with pipes. You go down. You could also do extra fights to get experience.
Oh yeah, and that's even how you get the secret passage to Great Guy's Casino.
What? There's a casino?
I have
There
a
is
feeling a
so-
lot of you didn't do a lot of the side quests.
There is a lot of side stuff in this.
Yeah, no idea.
But yeah, after
We'll,
you do
we'll
that,
go over those later.
Yeah, after you do that, there's the final piranha plant. It's like a hydra of piranha plants. And basically you're just destroying head after head. I don't know if there was a special strategy. You probably do, Trithan. For me, it was just wear down each head, take them out, and then take out the big head.
Actually, you'd be shocked. Ice bombs.
That makes sense.
Oh.
They're plants.
Yep. If you Geno boost and then you hit them with an ice bomb, it's one shot for each head.
Okay, that makes
Wow.
sense. Because yeah, I mean they weren't particularly difficult, especially if you use Peach for healing. Once again, still the go to the game is Peach.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. The only thing you have to
Totally.
really worry about with this boss was Petal Blast.
Yeah, where it turns you into a mushroom, which heals your people. And as long
But
as
if Peach has the safety badge,
she can't turn into it, yeah.
True.
then Peach go.
So yeah, it's basically you break all the little heads and then you beat the big head. But like I said, the Petal Blast, you turn into a mushroom. Your characters heal when they're a mushroom, so it's like a benefit kind of.
They don't heal enough, though.
No, it's like 6 or
No.
7
Yeah.
per heal.
But you do eventually, just power through it. We beat Mega Smilax, and the little shy guy flutters off, and it's like I gotta go tell Valentina about what's happening. Who the heck is Valentina? But he does leave behind one thing that is incredibly important for you to pick up. It's this little note on kind of the foliage around. It's a seed. You pick it up, and it's like you picked up a seed. You have no idea what it's for right now, but I promise you, you will want to have this. You want it so badly.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
So after that, you go and you hit a block, and a beanstalk appears, and you ascend into Tadpole Land.
To the tadpole land.
It's a continued joke. You go up to the sky, where clearly there's a bunch of mallows walking around.
What? No.
So yeah, we climb the beanstalk, and we do eventually get to Nimbus Land, which is the land of Mallow and his people, because, well, everyone looks like Mallow except for this one crazy lady named Valentina. She has like this weird green bird for a hat, and everyone they have no idea that she. She's very shady. She's like all the bad guys, They got their motive out there, and they're not very subtle about it.
Well, that and she has the
Ki-
evil anime laugh where they go, oh, ho, 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 ho.
Oh,
And they put their hand against their mouth and that, oh, ho, 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 ho.
Well, and also she passes off Prince Mallow as this gigantic, just bird.
Boy,
Yeah.
he thick.
He a thick bird.
It's another tadpole.
That's Prince Mallow. No, that's not a tadpole. That's a cloud person. You can't fool me. That thing's made of clouds.
I mean, birds are made of clouds, right? That's how they fly. Makes sense.
Facts.
So Valentina's really she has everyone fooled. She says that the king is sick and she is basically, she's going to take the throne along with Prince Mallow here because this wonderful bird-like Prince Mallow has asked her to marry him. Which none of the villagers here can actually hear. It's her just conveying what he says.
I mean, to be fair, I get why they're all on board.
Go
Because,
on.
I mean, she's how would I put this? A sight for sore eyes. In a land of marshmallows, she's a better marshmallow.
So,
In the land of puffy stuff, they have some jiggles.
Yeah.
your qualification for sight for sore eyes is a woman who wears a dead bird on her head.
I mean, there's more than just a dead bird going on.
I just had the worst
is it
image
dead?
in my brain.
Or
I don't want to think of sexy peeps ever again.
Exactly. Sexy peeps.
Sexy peeps. Peeps in a dress.
if you take two peeps and stick like a little toothpick in their chest and put them in a microwave facing each other, it's like they joust, and whichever peep lances the other one, that's the one that wins.
Yeah.
What are we talking about right now?
This is Mallow's people. We're pretty much on
First
brand.
off,
fellow peep people.
Mallow's peep people.
First off, I want this on record. Peeps are an abomination and should not be a thing. I'm sure I'm probably gonna
I
upset some
agree.
people with that thought, but they're
I
gross.
don't think Amy's gonna get that offended. They're pretty terrible.
Now let me tell you about candy corn. Oh wait.
So we have to sneak into this palace now. We have to try to get Mallow in here to find out what's going on. And the only way to get in that they can figure out is by the help of another one of the cloud people by the name of Garo.
Mm-hmm.
He's the local statue maker. He's fashioned all manner of statues of Valentina, like the 6 to 20 identical ones he's made of her. But this time, he creates his masterpiece, the Plumber's Lament. Where you have what is it, like the sideburns of like someone who has worked hard, and like the strong thighs or something. This, like, he really talks it up, and Valentina's like, it's grotesque, but it's wonderful. So she has a bird take Mario off to an area. Or not Mario, but take the statue off to be put on a pedestal and to be polished. And this bird doesn't really particularly care for polishing things. It just kind of pecks them really hard. So it's another little mini game, kind of like what we saw in Booster's Tower.
Yeah.
Where in Booster's Tower you had the different curtains that you had to try to avoid. Well, this one you have to jump whenever he's about to peck you in the foot.
I love how I lost this like the first 2 times I did it because I was just laughing at this scene of a bird pecking Mario and Mario dodging it, and the bird never's like, this seems strange for a statue to do.
And also, he's the only statue that's not her. Every other statue in the castle is just her.
I thought the other 2 party members were made into statues too. No?
No,
That's later.
Yeah, it's 3 statues of her and then 1 of him.
Oh, okay.
I
That's it.
know. It's awful for symmetry.
But we do eventually avoid him, and then there's a little bit of a chase scene. We have to fight through a bunch of stuff. We eventually chase him out of the palace, and we finally fight Valentina and Dodo. And immediately Dodo takes one of your party members off for a one-on-one fight. Who'd you guys have fight Dodo?
At this point, my team was Mario, Gino, and Peach, so he took Gino.
Yep, he'll always take the middle character.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. That's just where I had Gino in my party. Peach was always on the bottom, Mario was always on the top, and whoever I swapped out was in the middle.
Oh yeah, because you didn't know to plan for it.
Nope.
Which is the great part.
I just blind luck.
I honestly didn't know that Dodo always took the middle either. I had Peach in the middle, so that was
Oh,
that was a bit
God.
of a fight of attrition.
Yeah, I had Bowser.
I did
'Cause this
too.
is one of the bosses that you can poison,
Ooh,
and it does a lot of damage.
Can I ask you a
poison
question,
does
Try
do a
then?
ton of damage.
Yes.
How do you enjoy video games? It just seems like you take all the discovery out of it. I'm kidding,
Because
by
a
the
lot of it
way.
I've discovered.
I'm just giving you
I mean,
a hard
it's-
time, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way as him. I've played the games 100 times, so now I got to find a way to make it more interesting.
I was
which
about
is
to
like a
say,
challenge.
I've put in thousands of hours.
So, Huckle was here when the old magics were written, but Trython was the one writing.
He was
the
writing
old
the
magic.
magics, and I was
and
over
then
his
after
shoulder
I
going,
played it for the
"Mhm, I like that."
thousands of hours, I've watched all sorts of different speed runs. I've seen multiple different routes like get formed in this game.
And apparently, while you guys are
Yeah.
writing rules, I'm just banging two rocks together off to the side.
But it worked. You made it through.
You did. The rocks got you through it.
We got the
And we
peaks and the
do-
valleys. You're the valley.
My thought was literally, I need a bigger rock. I find bigger rock. Bigger rock win. We're good.
We're good.
On to the next fight.
And we do eventually use that bigger rock. We defeat Valentina and Dodo, and Mallow is restored to his rightful place as prince, and he gets a good cry out, which always with this little weather controlling puffball results in a good rain.
Tadpole magic.
Mario pulls out his umbrella. He's like, I kind of expect this now. He's gonna cry. And you finally get to meet Mallow's parents. His dad is his dad's a fanboy. His dad's what you would expect, like coming out of, like a con, seeing all the actors, like, oh my god, I want your autograph.
Yeah. Powerful mustache, though.
Oh, very powerful.
I don't even think I recognized that was a mustache. I thought it was like a brooch or like a necklace.
There's a cloud stash above it.
Kind of a cloud stash.
I just realized we
So-
skipped over a boss.
What boss? Birdo!
We
Oh my
forgot
gosh, we skipped
Birdo.
over Birdo.
How
Oh
can
my
we
gosh.
forget Birdo?
I'm sorry, everyone. We skipped over Birdo. It's a wonderful boss, but we have to move on into Barrel Volcano. We have to move on because we jump off of the clouds after we learned that, Mallow's safe, his parents are safe, Mallow's a prince, and we jump into a volcano off to get the 6th star. And this volcano, there's not a whole lot about it. It's kind of like, I think about it kind of like the mold mines. It's just a zone you have to progress through.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
mobs, there's a little bit of platforming. And you eventually arrive to the boss. This first boss is the Czar Dragon. It's if you remember from Super Mario Land, Super Mario World, it's kind of like the lava dragon that pops out of the ground. But this time he's a boss.
Not before going through Donkey Kong's. There's
And
a
the
whole bunch
angry trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, this boss wasn't really like memorable for me. Like obviously I remember fighting him, but it just didn't. It just seemed like show up DPS boss, win fight.
Yeah, it wasn't. I feel like that was more of a mini boss because you defeat him, you get the star, and immediately that star is swept up
Well,
by.
hold on, you've got his second form. I feel like that was the mechanic they were going for there,
yeah.
but it still wasn't. It seemed like they took all
Yeah,
the
it
mechanics just
wasn't
for
too
that
much.
transformation.
Yeah, after you get him down, to like half health or whatever, he goes into a phase 2 where he becomes, all skeleton. It's like the undead form of it, which is a bit more powerful. Does some more AOE magic attacks.
As a side note, I do think this boss was also added in Yoshi's Story, if I remember right. You fought the one who was like the dragon, and then he turns into the skeleton dragon.
Oh.
Huh.
I think Yoshi's Story came before this, though.
No, that's the 164.
Oh, okay.
Yoshi's Island
okay.
was the one on SNES.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. But yeah, so after we do defeat him, we get that star, and we're starting to be like, yeah, we got it. And it is swept away immediately by the Axum Rangers.
Yes.
Which are obviously a play on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which are very popular at this time. We have Axum Red, Axum Yellow, Axum Green, Axum Black, and Axum Pink.
No blue. I was so mad.
No blue. I'm sorry, Billy. You're just not represented in here.
No. 2 Tommies.
So I hated this fight. I almost put down the game and said, "That's it. I'm not going to be able to beat this game in time for this podcast."
It's a very hard
To
fight.
me, this fight.
It's tough.
To me, this fight though wasn't tough for the sake of like good strategy. It was tough just because they get to attack so much. Now, I did start to figure out mechanics around like if I use special attacks on Black, he gets like a free counter attack out of it. So don't do that. You also get reinforced the golden rule when it comes to a battle in an RPG. Find healer, kill healer first. But you know, it just felt so cheap to me compared to like how all the other fights were in this game, where they were like really well balanced, had good mechanics. This one was just, you were outnumbered and just beat down into submission, and it almost felt like I had to get the RNG right to get through it. So I'm sure Trident
was
has
an
some
old school-
easy mode strategy.
This was also an old school level check.
Yeah, okay.
Like there are a couple in this game, but this one I do feel was the most. You have a level check. I mean, you can get the RNG and beat it, but
There's also a bit of a strategy check in here because the fights down the road here, you do really have to kind of focus on what's going to be the thing I need to attack.
Yeah.
Because one of the next major bosses we encounter after this is going to be very, you have to know what you're attacking and why you're attacking it. It's not just a blind, I'm going to attack this and win.
I mean, you can if you're leveled enough. Once again,
So-
plot armor.
What level were you
Plot
guys when you
armor.
took on this fight?
I think by this point I was like 24.
18, 19?
Wow.
I think I was like 18ish.
Okay, I thought I was going to be low. I was like 21. I figured I was super low, and that's why I was struggling with it so much.
No, it's all about taking out Axum Pink
Yeah.
first and having Princess in your party with the safety badge. And one thing we didn't talk about before we even went to Barrel Volcano is you can go and get this other little item called the fertilizer from a shy guy that's flying off of a hidden bridge at the edge of Nimbus Town. And if you take the seed and the fertilizer to the gardener out in Rosetown, he'll grow another huge beanstalk for you to climb up, and you get 2 items. You get the lazy shell, and you get the lazy shell.
Not to get confused with the first lazy shell.
The attack and
Don't
defense.
confuse lazy shell with lazy shell. Exactly. You have a lazy shell, which is Mario's ultimate weapon. It's a giant Koopa shell with little tiny wings that he just kicks at the enemy. Ton of damage.
And I feel
And
like
then
that was the
there's a-
easiest one to time perfectly too.
Yeah.
It really was. I any of the ones where Mario had to kick was so easy to time.
Oh yeah.
I was disappointed in this weapon, though, from like a thematic standpoint. Like, to
Oh,
me,
because the hammer's so iconic, and then he just like the best weapon is the shell.
that or him jumping or punching. Yeah, I just felt like they could have gone with something else that kind of fit the theme of like Mario more for his ultimate weapon. You know, they just felt like there was no kind of connection to the shell.
I mean, it was pretty iconic in Mario where you would shoot Koopas at each other.
Yeah, you'd like hit a shell and
Yeah,
knock it
yeah.
and it would slide across.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's not like, I don't equate that to like, you know, the Mario's essence, if you will. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too philosophical for a retro game right now, but I was just
well, Mario does let everyone know who he is by jumping.
Yeah.
So that gimmick's already taken.
Which, not to derail, but one thing that we haven't talked about, which is pretty important, is the way Mario story tells in this game.
Yes.
Is he doesn't talk. It's like ever. He like does charades, but during his charades he turns into the character he's like describing. So he'll like turn into Bowser, he'll turn into Peach, or he'll turn into somebody else.
yeah. He's weirdly mute by like choice in this game,
Yeah. I think it was for comic effect.
probably.
But even still, those little cutscenes where he's acting things out are some of the
Oh, yeah.
best.
Yeah.
He's very good at charades.
Very good.
So getting
very
back to the fight though, so you take out Pink first,
You take out pink, and then for me, I just cycle through them. As I don't think there was any particular one I focused. Just once pink was down, it was pick one, focus it, get to the next one, make sure peach lives.
Oh, see, for me it was pink, then green, because green I think had some sort of magic spell.
He was the Mallow of the crew.
Yeah, and then I went to Black Axum Ranger because of his counterattack on special moves. And then I think red, and I left yellow for last because for some reason, like the timing, like the defense timing for yellow's attacks, I had down pat. So I never had to worry about him.
That makes sense.
His are also the most telegraphed and the easiest to time, so that doesn't say much about me.
I mean, that's still a strategy, though.
Oh, I played to my strengths for sure.
Yeah.
So you defeat each one of them one by one, and each time you defeat one, they have little one-liner like, hey, I don't want to fight, basically, to the Red Ranger. And after you defeat all of them, you actually have to fight the ship itself, and it has a head kind of like the Megazord from Power Rangers.
Yeah.
The Red Ranger hops on top of it, and this thing does some massive damage with his ability. What is it called? The Breaker Beam?
Yeah, it's like a triangled out beam that comes and shoots in a wave.
Yeah, this thing hits the party, and this thing hits harder than I think anything you've encountered up to this point.
Oh yeah, it's one of the strongest attacks in this game.
And this really is that check of, do you have enough HP to make it through the end of the game? Because this will take out 100 and something HP, and your characters only have 100 and something HP to begin with.
Well, for some of you. When you're almost at level cap, then...
Huckle's out here at 999 HP, and he's like,
I mean,
Breaker Beam.
it's a Square game. I grinded in between things. I just did a lot of... I'm not going to worry about the boss fights. I'll just do the easy battles. And when I get to the boss fights, I'll just face tank it.
A step up from Recycle's strategy.
Hey now, I had a strategy for this fight, okay? You back off.
I'm so proud you found like the counterattack and the healer, and you actually strategized.
Oh no, I was talking.
Makes me so proud.
I was talking about Big Laser Go Boom, but so it was like it was a 2-turn like attack, right? He'd always give you that first turn kind of warning, and so I had Lazy Shell on Gino, and he was just boosting Mario every turn, and then I would have Peach and Mario defend when the attack was coming next, and that made that attack far more manageable. And then with Gino having Lazy Shell, he took about the same damage. I just have Peach heal him up the next turn. So essentially Mario was constantly damaging, defending when the beam would attack. Gino was constantly boosting Mario, maybe gave Peach 2 or 3 of those boosts just to give her a little more defense. Peach was defend, heal, defend, heal, defend, heal.
Yep.
Pretty solid strategy.
Thank you. I did something good.
And I feel like that's a strategy that you take the rest of the game is Peach, defend, heal, defend, heal, defend, heal, and you just kind of balance the rest. You have Mario, Peach, and then whomever else is a part of your party. And for me at least, that's kind of how the rest of the game went. I had my one party I stuck with.
Same.
And we beat the Axum Rangers here, no matter what your party composition is, and you do finally get that star number 6. There's only 7 stars, and the last thing you need to do is actually make it to Bowser's Keep. Thankfully, the royal bus of Nimbus Town has been fixed up, and you get to take this cute little thing all the way over to Bowser's Keep, and you jump down. And this Bowser's Keep is quite a bit more complex than the previous one we went in. If you remember at the beginning of the game, it was just, was it like 2 or 3 rooms you had to go through, and you made it to the throne room. Quite quick and easy. But this time, there's a giant sword plunged into the castle, and there's a lot more you have to go through. In fact, you even come across 6 doors, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Recycle bin. Tell me about these doors.
Yeah, of course I didn't do the quiz doors. I mean, geez, those were terrible. So I did the 2 combat ones and the 2 platforming one or puzzle ones, which I really enjoyed the combat. Like, I thought it was kind of a nice like battle rush kind of thing. And the quizzes were, or I'm sorry, not the quizzes, but the puzzles were fun. And if you stopped to kind of think about it for a few seconds, you could figure them out. They weren't like punishing. Those quizzes though, man, like I gave them a try a couple times and those were some deep cuts for some questions.
Oh yeah, it definitely humbled me playing through it because I didn't remember so much. I was like, oh, I should know this.
It's like on last Tuesday when you had the second star going for the third, did Mallow cry 6 times or 8 times in Mushroom Land or Cloud Land? And it's like, what? It's not that bad, but
like.
you know, yeah, they were.
It really does feel like that. They're such obscure questions that you kind of have to trial and error your way through it sometimes. There's only so many questions that he asks. I think for me to get through that quiz, it took 4 times, maybe 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing.
That's not even the worst part.
There's nothing more demoralizing though when you're already like as far down as that platform will go and you still miss the question.
The struggle bus.
Oh, it's so struggle. But you do have to get through 4 of these 6 doors to get through it. And 2 of them are kind of quiz and puzzle based, 2 of them are combat, and then 2 of them are platforming based. Mm-hmm. And if you fail at any of them a certain number of times, then you're kicked out and you have to do that door over again. At the end of these doors are often a really powerful item. At the end of 3 of them are going to be the different ultimate weapons, like for Bowser, Mallow, and Geno. You get their ultimate weapons at the end of 3 of them. And at the end of 3 of the others, I think one of them you get like a rock candy, a red essence, and something else. Rock candy and red essence are incredibly powerful items that you only use never because they're like mega elixirs, and you never use them even on the final boss because you might need them one day.
Oh, you're the person who doesn't use their items.
I blame Poke.
Never use an item because I might need them one day. Even in the final phase of the final boss when he's like, I am down to 1 HP, I might need those items.
I blame Pokemon Red for this and me using my Master Ball and a Snorlax for why I have like fear of ever using an item again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
You talk about a core memory burned into my brain right there.
The 6 doors reminds me also of the last level of Mario 3. When you cross the bridge before you have to go to the second part of the level, where you have the bridge that has like the 6 parts, and I think that was a nod to it, where each of those they have the hand that would pull you down, and you had to complete the level before you could move on. I don't know if anybody else saw that. That was just my first thought when I did that.
Never thought about that.
I didn't either.
Are there any of the doors you guys got stuck on?
So are the doors
Not for me.
Are so they're numbered 1 through 6, right? But like door number 2 is not like a battle room every time, right?
No.
Okay.
It's randomized when you enter the keep.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I don't remember what numbers I did, but I did the 2 battles and the 2 puzzles, and the puzzles each took me like 2 tries because like the first one I just was like, I'll just see if I can like blind luck my way through this, and then couldn't, and I was like, all right, I'll actually think about this and figure it out. But one of the puzzles, like, you really couldn't fail. The one with the switches. I don't know what they're actually called, but you know, the exclamation point switches.
Oh, the buttons where you push them down and the other ones go, the down ones go up and the up ones go down.
Yeah, you couldn't really fail that one. The other one with like the cannonballs, you could fail. Where if you got it to where you couldn't have a cannonball jump another one, then it was like, hey, dummy, and they'd kick you out of the room.
Mm-hmm. And then you got to do it all over again, or try a different door.
But yeah, I didn't stand a chance on those quizzes, man. They were tough. I was expecting questions like, what is the name of the dinosaur Mario rides? What is the name of his brother? And like, dude, those were not questions aimed at like a 10-year-old.
You think Squeenix is going to take it easy on you?
It's true.
For a Nintendo
No
game,
mercy.
like their target audience, I would have thought so, but guess not.
In 1992, there was a governor election in the state of California in District 4. What was the running candidates?
Yeah, it was. I never even got the platform. Like, I'd get one question right and then get like 4 wrong. Like, I never got that platform anywhere near sniffing the finish line, because it was like if you answered a question right, you moved up like a slot, but if you missed a question, you moved down like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Did any of you have like a favorite one that you did?
I like the Donkey Kong one.
Oh yeah, where you got to jump over the barrels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really like the one where I had to guess the number of barrels.
Oh, that's so that is good because you're just like sitting there and you're like, all right, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, that's that row. This is how many on that row. All right, multiply that, and then there's these extra ones.
Wait, what? What are we talking? I don't remember this.
That's after the quiz.
Oh, that's why I didn't. Okay.
Yes, so you have to get through the quiz and then you get the barrel puzzle, and those are fun and easy.
Wait.
But
you mean to tell me after I would have passed the quiz, they then would have given me a puzzle?
Yep.
This game
Yeah.
would have gone straight in the trash bin. Just
were-
ripped right
there
out
were
of the
two
console,
other-
dropped straight in the trash can.
There were 2 other barrel countings, and then a like triathlon between like a Goomba.
oh,
fish,
that one's
and
hard.
dry bones.
No way.
That one's
No
hard.
way. Oh,
It's hard unless you know which sentence corresponds with what place.
you guys.
You
guys mentioned how
it's like those puzzles where you put like 4 names across like the top columns, and you put like 3 or 4 things on the rows, and it's like a bunch of boxes, and you have to X out which ones did or didn't do things, and which ones like did something, and you have to kind of figure out this matrix of who came first in triathlon, who came second, who came third, and who came
Yep,
fourth.
you had to bust out the notepad and pen and paper and be like, all right, I got to draw this diagram, and we're gonna map this out.
So you guys were talking earlier about how I would have had an inventory full of like pure waters or whatever. In one of the battles, I decided I had 1 pure water left. I was like, I can't use it here because you went against 2 or 3 dry bones, and I didn't realize that a special attack would one hit them until about 20 minutes into that fight.
Oh no!
I was just mashing away at him with my fist because I didn't like to use Mario or Gino. I didn't like to use Mario's special abilities because Gino was using them for boost, Peach was healing. I didn't want to burn through my syrup. And then
This man was banging rocks together.
I was like, screw it, I'm going for a jump, and like they died, and I was like, well, that was convenient, and it just never clicked for me that was how you took them out.
But after we get through the doors here, we do finally get all the way to the throne room, where we don't encounter Bowser, obviously because he's in our party. Instead, we meet Boomer.
The samurai.
He's not Bowser, he's Boomer, the samurai. Very honorable. And this fight it's really nothing to write home about.
No.
Very straightforward.
Yeah.
Not even really a DPS or heal check. It's a mini boss.
The best part about this
Because-
fight was that instead of Chain Chomps holding the chandeliers up, it was Shy Guys.
Yes. Yeah, and the Shy Guys were sentient. They're like, yeah, I'm here doing my job, and I like it.
Yeah.
That's
I'm a union
awful
man.
Job.
I'm a union man. So after you defeat Boomer, you get taken all the way up to the roof of Bowser's Keep, at the roof of Bowser's Keep, and you finally get to fight that giant sword Exor. I'm not going to ask Triton for the strategy because I know he's just going to give us like I did this and then Geno World.
That is exactly.
Well, don't ask me either then. So
Yep, Ned.
So-
No idea Geno Whirl was a thing. There was something they give you like a clue about the eyes or something. So I would hit an eye and then make it go spinny, and then I just would. I had to figure it out. Like I tried the other eye and then the hilt of the sword, and then realized like the hilt of the sword is what I needed to be hitting to actually be damaging the boss. So again, just brute force, punches and heals, punches and heals.
Yeah, so with this boss, there's 4 different parts of him that you can attack. There's the left eye, the right eye, the what's his mouth called?
Oh God.
It's a very strange name, but it's his mouth, and then there's also the head at the top of the hilt, and this head has like these pulsing, glowing eyes. Obviously, very, very evil, but the eyes are protecting the head, or the eyes are protecting the hilt, and I think that's really the hint they give you, is if you try to attack that hilt without damaging the eyes to the point where one of them is swirly, you can't damage it. You have to at least stun one of the eyes in order to damage it.
yeah, I think when you damage the eye, it tells you the protection's gone.
But
definitely
yeah,
does.
So So you can focus on one of the eyes, just get its protection down and focus on it. But you might run into an issue where you're just taking so much damage from the mouth, because the mouth will cast some big AoE magic attack every time. And these are unblockable magic attacks, so your party's taking half of their health and damage every time this thing attacks, which really locks Peach down to not be able to do anything else. So you're kind of left with 2 damage dealers to focus on an eye and try to get this hilt down.
Or be level 30.
Or be level 30. Or, Trithan.
Just Geno whirl it and do 9,999 damage.
Yeah.
Just Geno whirl it and do 9,999 damage. This is a boss that they... wasn't it a bug? And I think, Huckle, you're the one that brought this up yesterday. That it was a bug that they had in this game. You weren't supposed to be able to do that on this particular boss.
Yeah, I don't...
But...
Because I didn't play the new one, but I'm guessing, like, you could probably do it because it was such an iconic thing. To be able to just basically cheese this with Geno.
Yeah, because with Geno Whirl, if you time it perfectly right on really any non-boss enemy, it'll do 9,999 damage. It's such a tight timing, one of the hardest ones to hit in the game, but if you get it right, it pays off. This is one boss where if you do it, it pays off, and you can basically one-shot Exor. It's insane.
I think it was because the way the boss is set up that it's separate entities, that when they made the game, they didn't account for that. Because most of the big bosses, it's like you have the boss and then you have the little minions, where this is like they're all kind of
Could
a
you do it
minion.
Could you do it on the Axum Rangers, like when you have to fight the
I
cutter
don't think
ship?
so.
No.
Okay.
You could do it on, I think, the head of the ship,
Yeah.
but that was it.
Okay. Interesting. But after we do finally defeat Exor, his mouth opens up very wide, and you get sucked into this other world, like this interdimensional portal that takes you into the realm where Smithy's factory is held. So this is like the big final area of the game. You're going to fight the big guy that everyone's been talking about, Smithy and his gang. But down here in this kind of interdimensional area, you got some challenges down here. There's a lot of different bosses that you've encountered before that you see just falling down conveyors, and they look really metallic, and you hear the clanking of hammering in the background. This is, I think, one of the areas of the game that's really just, it sticks out to me because you hear the smithing of everything.
It's the industrial
And
complex.
Very industrial, and you hear this like very ethereal sounding music, so you feel like you're in this weird, things are being crafted around you. It's very metallic, very machine. So we get through all these different kind of crafted machine versions of these bosses. You can avoid all of them really, except for one. You do have to fight a Yardovich again, and this Yardovich is a bit more of a pain. The same thing though, just a lot of AoE attacks, a lot of damage going out, just a little bit more damage, a little more health, and you eventually end up at a boss that is a giant alarm clock. That, in my opinion, is one of the most annoying fights in the game.
It's definitely a very RNG fight.
Give it to us.
So,
and don't give us the cheese.
So this boss is actually really tough. He can still, even in a speed run, he can be just a run ender, depending on what attacks he gets. Because the bells have a chance to forward time, and the clock has, the 1 through 12 for all the different times of different attacks that it does. One of them recovers, and a lot of them do damage. There is one that it's time to nap, so that's a nice reprieve in the middle of fighting. But
9 o'clock.
Yep, and even the bells do different attacks and different magics, so it's a pretty tough fight to get through.
There
Oh.
is so much damage going out to your entire party, and so many different status effects that go out.
I don't.
Like, it will use Aurora Flash, which will sleep your party. It'll use Petal Blast, which will turn your party into mushrooms. And the little bells can cast Dark Star, which is kind of like what Mallow uses, which is giant star that goes down and like smashes the whole party. But everything it does just puts out a ton of damage. A ton.
I one-shot this guy. Like, I didn't have a problem with him. That's so wild.
Nice.
That's insane, and I love it.
That is this, because this is the fight that I kind of look back on as the I'm nervous going into this fight every time I do this game.
I don't think I fought him.
You had to.
So, okay, so you go into the smithy's mouth. You have your save point.
Yep.
Right.
And it's right after that save point, you like jump on a little jump pad and it like shoots you down.
No. I went left from the save point, and then there's the claw arm that grabs you.
No, you're
farther ahead.
Yeah, you're far ahead. We're still in the interdimensional area.
That
You don't remember fighting a giant alarm clock?
no, I didn't fight a giant alarm clock.
Oh no, you had to have.
I think I might have skipped it on accident.
There's not a way to
No way.
skip it. So what happens is you go into Exor's mouth, the giant sword, and you go
Right.
into this interdimensional area, and you fight through it. You fight this large alarm clock, and after you fight Countdown here, then you go straight into the next battle, which is against Cloaker and Domino, which are they kind of remind me of Knife Guy and Great Guy. Kind of the back and forth, kind of physical and magic, and eventually you damage them enough, and they bring out a pet snake. So yeah, we fight through Cloaker, Domino, and Snake, which after Countdown, they're not that big of a deal. It's still just, the same old. Peach heals, Mario does damage, and whoever else you have, does damage or heals or boosts your party. It's not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, after you defeat Cloaker, Domino, and Snake, you do eventually arrive at the Smithy headquarters. And the Smithy headquarters is, that's the final area because it literally has the guy's name in it, Smithy HQ. And it's a boss rush starting out. And it was kind of a mini boss rush. You have to work your way up the chain of command. You start out with the clerk, kind of like the secretary of everything. He got a couple little guys with him. They're going to try to defend, like, hey, you can't get in here. And then you work your way up to the manager, and then the director, and eventually the factory chief.
All they were different colors to me.
Yeah, I feel like it's really the same fight, just different colors of it.
Yep.
But you fight through all of those, and you do eventually reach kind of the end of the line, and there's a button on the ground that when you stand on the button, it'll pick you up and carry you over into this little tube and drop you down, and you finally get to Smithy.
Bum bum bum.
Bum bum bum. So on Smithy here, you can target him and you just attack him, but you realize he's sometimes getting some molten metal coming out of this, yellow metal mouthy thing on the side of the wall, and he's hitting it, and he just creates like a little bouncing shy guy or some kind of enemy. And if you go to target and you move around a bit, you realize that that's the smelter, and you can attack that to prevent him from getting any of that molten metal out, so that he doesn't make these little shy guys on pogos, because they're a little bit upgraded from what you fought against with Mac.
Mm-hmm.
they get to do a lot more damage. And Smithy does quite a bit of damage too. He has some AoE attacks that really get you. You can defeat the smelter, prevent it from getting any more of those ads. But after you do enough damage to Smithy, then it really, you're like, oh, hold on. Did I beat it? Did I beat it? Nope. As with any good Squaresoft game, there's always a big phase 2 with the final boss. And this phase 2 is one of the more interesting phase 2 final bosses I think I have ever seen in a game. Because he doesn't know what kind of head he wants. He goes into his final form. In his first form, he kind of looks like a deranged Santa Claus. It's like if Santa Claus went crazy.
That's true.
And then we fall into this pit that it's just a whole bunch of these very wide, round heads with these bulging eyes and sharp teeth, very robotic looking. And Smithy's like, all right, I'll show you my true form. I'll teach you to show some respect. Ah! And he transforms, like his head turns into one of these weird cylindrical robots. And he starts morphing his head into different, like these different shapes, these different ways of attacking. Like this first one here is a tank. And this tank, it's just like his eyes, and it's like his nose is the turret of the tank, and it just like poof, shoots like a bullet bill. It just like shoots out of his nose and hits the party. And this can do some damage. One of the attacks I think is an instant kill if you don't block it.
Yeah, he definitely had like a one-hit kill attack.
Yeah, one of the bullets.
And I can't remember, what are the other heads that he'll switch into?
He's got a mage head, a treasure chest, and there's another one that
It's like
I
a
can't
coffin.
think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of like in a coffin or something.
Yeah, I don't really get to see many of the other heads.
Of course you don't, because you just,
From
you
the
know,
destruction.
fear bomb everything into oblivion. Or red essence, or rock candy, and all of the above.
Yeah, pretty much.
But with this final phase, he does have two parts that you can attack, his body and his head. The head is the final target that you do need to defeat. But the body does a lot of damage. It doesn't have a ton of HP, but if you're able to attack the body enough to disable it, then it does afford you some reprieve to heal your party up, kind of recollect yourself, and focus on the head again. And after you do finally do enough damage to the head, then Smithy, oh my god, my body and head are burning. It's not possible. I don't believe it.
Guano. He never mentions his McDonald's fries fingers.
I'm loving it.
He's loving it.
I hate that you pointed that out. Now that's all
Same,
I'm going to be able
because-
to see.
So we have defeated Smithy. We have recovered the 7th star. And thusly, the Star Road is restored.
Wishes for all.
Wishes for all. And the end credits of this game are really something special. After the Star Road is restored, Gino kind of says, my work here is done. It's time for me to return to the stars." And he exits the body of the doll, returns to the stars, and Mario and party is like, all right, I guess it's back to normal.
Let's have a parade.
Let's have a parade. Like at the end of any good Mario game, let's have a parade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all the different, characters of the game, different vehicles, them just kind of going down, and you get to see everyone one last time. It's really fun. The credits are fun, and that's it.
This reminds
That's it
me
from Mario RPG.
of Ocarina of Time ending, where each of the medallions showed that clan or that area after the clan or after whatever happened with Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah.
like each of the stars shows like where the star was at, like where like a little cutscene from each little zones, which was cool. Which we don't want to spoil because you gotta go do it yourself.
Oh, you really do.
But it's a cool little
There's-
like each little star gives you a little cutscene.
It's really nice, and there's not a whole lot of different characters in the game, so the ones that you do kind of interact with, the ones that do have story around them, you get to know them a little bit. So when you do get those little cutscenes at the end, you're like, Raz and Gaz, they're doing good. Yeah. Croco, you're living it up.
It's very nice.
All right, so that is the end of Super Mario RPG.
Yay!
What a game, guys. Let's get a final roundtable thoughts and opinions. I'm gonna start. We're gonna go Trithan, Recycle, Huckle.
Mhm.
Trithan, this is like your umpteenth time through the game. Was there anything you did this time that was really wildly different that made it any more special for it?
This
For you.
time I did my super jumps and I got my attack scarf. I'm working up to the super suit.
Where is my super suit?
Aside from enjoying this game another round all the way through, that was pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to do, and just enjoy the game.
Wonderful. Recycle bin.
So I really enjoyed the game. It was fun. Like, I thought it was a great kind of, Mario, a different spin on Mario for what we kind of had up until that point. My only gripe, and this I'm assuming something they fixed in the remake, is there wasn't a lot of save points in this game. Like, it felt like you had to devote like an hour or 2 hours to like get to the next save point. Like, am I right or am I wrong? I'm assuming I'm wrong here.
No, there was save points had a real weight to them in this game.
Okay. But yeah, beyond that, I thought the game was great. Like, I loved this. I loved the music, loved the graphics. Like, I loved having something to do during battles as opposed to just issuing a command and then watching it happen. So really enjoyed it.
It's because of this game that any JRPG I play nowadays, I will still always try to timed attack everything and time defense everything, just in case. And it pays off in Final Fantasy VIII. It freaking pays off. All right, Huckle.
I will say I got to level 30 before I got to Axum Rangers, so I was usually 5 to 8 levels ahead of where I was supposed to be, so it was a nice little cakewalk. No problem.
Now, I know that earlier on you said that this isn't a game that you really cared much for. What was it about it that you're like, this is what kind of put me off on it?
It's not that they put me off on it. It's that they made better versions of the game later on with Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga that took the systems this created and did them 10 times better. The story still is great. The story itself would not change a thing. The way it's told would not change a thing. It's just the mechanics in it that I have played the better versions of a lot. That going back
it's
to
tough
this,
to kind of go back to this.
Yeah.
I see.
And the level cap at 30. I would have liked to go to 100.
He wants
You
to
just
be
want
more
to go in
overpowered.
there and just you want Princess to go in there and just slap Smithy unarmed and just be like, bam!
I want to
you're
go
gone.
in there, Goku, Ultra Instinct, flex my muscles, and everybody dies.
Bam.
But good game overall.
Very good game. For me, it's this game just holds a special place in my heart. I said it earlier. I've played this game with family, with friends, and to just play it through again for fun or because I have to or whatever reason. Just give me any reason to play this game and I will.
Mm-hmm.
It's that good. And I'm so happy that I got to play it again and also get to discuss it with all of you, which has been wonderful. And next month, we're going to be covering our next game for December here. We're going to be covering Kirby's Adventure,
Woo!
which was released on the Nintendo, the NES, in 1993. Now, this isn't the first in the Kirby series, like, Kirby's Dream Land or Kirby's Dream Land 2, but I really feel like this is the one that really kind of, it defined what Kirby is. It defined the future of Kirby. And I'm really excited because in this one, Kirby gets powers. He gets to eat enemies and get their different powers and use them against them. It's so fun. So I would like to thank everyone for listening to this episode, and I am so grateful, and I hope that you all will follow us, and please continue to listen on. We have so many games that we wish to cover, so many different platforms. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you might want us to cover, and we'll talk about it. And who knows, we might cover the game that you really want us to talk about. And I mean, follow along with us. Play the games alongside us. If you know that we're going to be playing Kirby's Adventure next month, play it and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So again, thank you all for listening. If you would like to reach out to us, you can email us at yetanotherretropodcast@gmail.com. And so, for Yet Another Retro Podcast, or YARP, I'm Alamaxia.
I'm Trython.
I'm Recycle Bin Hero.
And I'm Huckleberry Slim.
And we'll see you next month, Kirby's Adventure. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya. Okay, so is Mal a little cloud? Because now it's going to bother me.